Hello, scuba believers, and welcome to episode number 71 of the Undiscovered Entrepreneur. And it's me, DJ Scoob, coming at you at whatever device you happen to be listening on. Okay, so we're going to get right into the scuba believer of the week. And the scuba believer of the week is Jasmine Patel. I hope I'm pronouncing that right, Jasmine. Jasmine, actually, I met in one of the Facebook groups I'm in, called the Beacons of Light, through my friend JR. She's been a fantastic scuba believer. So I just want to personally say thank you so much for being a scuba believer, Jasmine. Look for her information in the show notes. All right, so today our new entrepreneur is Rhonda Johnson. Now, she's the founder of the Limitless Empowerment with Rhonda Johnson, and she discusses empowering women over 30 to embrace their authenticity, overcoming challenges, adapting to new marketing strategies after COVID-19, and the vital roles of vulnerability, acceptance, understanding, and team building in entrepreneurship. She has a lot of, her personality is fantastic. I really can't wait to show this to you. So let's listen to Rhonda Johnson. Salutations, scuba believers, and we are here again with another brand spanking new entrepreneur. Today we're here with Rhonda. Hi, Rhonda.
Hi, how's everyone doing?
Fantastic. Thank you so much for coming on to the Undiscovered Entrepreneur. I really appreciate you taking the time with us today.
Yes, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Okay. So before we get into anything, I'm going to ask you one kind of semi-serious question. Okay. You ready?
Okay.
Okay. Here we go. Are you a scuba believer?
Yes, I am.
All
Yes, I am.
right.
I'm a believer. Yes.
All right. There you go. All right, Rhonda. Thank you so much for being a scuba believer. I really appreciate
Yes.
that. Okay. So what I want you to do here, Rhonda, is just tell me a little bit about yourself, what your entrepreneur adventure is, and kind of how long you've been doing it for.
Okay. Well, again, thank you so much for having me here. My name is Rhonda Johnson. My business name is, you can see Limitless Empowerment with Rhonda Johnson. That's a lot. I probably should put the camera down. Limitless Empowerment with Rhonda Johnson. And what my business is about empowering women age 30 and over to stop the cycle of people pleasing and perfectionism, to identify their needs, and to become their authentic selves. So it's like a group of people who are like me. So that's what I do. I do it through webinars, online material. I have a group, and it's just a supportive place to say, look, I don't want to people please anymore. I don't want to try to be perfect anymore. I just want to be who I am, and to create that safe environment so that they can do that.
Yeah, it's really important to be yourself and just about anything that you're wanting to do because when you're not yourself, people can actually sense that. And I've kind of noticed
Yes.
that myself too, is people really literally could smell that out when you're not being authentic, when you're not being your
Hmm.
authentic self. So it's
Yes.
really important to learn, not just for everybody out there, but for yourself too, because you want to be
Yes.
able, you want to be authentic to yourself too. So
Right. Right. And to me, you've got to know who you are to be your authentic self. I think a lot of people, a lot of entrepreneurs kind of they see things like, I want to be like that. Well, if that's not quite who you really are, people are going to know, and they're going to sense the inauthenticity. So just word to the wise.
Absolutely. And you want to kind of avoid kind of comparing yourself to other people because that could really lead you down a dark path. Oh, he's so much better than me, or why
Oh
can't I
yeah.
do what he's doing? Don't worry so
Yes.
much what everybody else is doing because they've probably been doing this for a long time or longer or
Hmm.
whatever. What you really need to do is compare yourself to yourself, compare yourself
Yep.
to a week ago, compare yourself to a month ago. That way you could see your own progress as things are moving
Hmm.
along and you can celebrate those little wins that you have.
Absolutely. Yes. And I forgot to say, so I've been in the entrepreneurial game for, yeah, this is coming up 6 years, and I'm just now getting traction. So I'm real eager to talk about how that happened and how I stuck with it, because I to me that's the name of the game, sticking with it.
All
No
right.
matter what it looks like. So just
So you've been doing this for, I mean, is it recently 6 years, or I mean, have you been working on something else, or?
well, so it's been like 6 years of figuring out my niche, because I wanted to do a purely coaching business. And I love mental health. I'm actually in school to become a therapist, but I also coached. And so when I started in 18, it was It was kind of a very broad definition of coaching, whoever wanted to get coached, come on in. But it was also a different environment. I think that's the craziest thing I've seen is that it was, it still is to an extent wide open, but I mean, in terms of social media and marketing, if could kind of goof around and find your way to it, you could really do it. You could really sort of find your way into it. What I was doing initially was I was just in a group and we were just posting our stuff in this group. And that literally, I was told that was marketing. I was told, yeah, that's how you market. And it took me a long time to realize that's because that's how that person learned and that's what they learned to do. But as time went on, especially after COVID, every algorithms, social media, people got more sophisticated in terms of, okay, that's great. You can do this and do that. But who are you? Like we were talking earlier, authentically. Who are you? What are you saying that's different from this person, from that person? And so I had to learn to pivot. I had to learn to pivot my message, my audience. And then I don't know how quick we want to get into it. I learned, look, like I said, it's cute. It's nice if you can do things for free and have them done for free. But I call that also pre-COVID times. It was just an open time. You could really, really do that and really get a lot of traction. But now, if you don't have some way of paying somebody or paying for something, you're going to get lost in the sauce. You really are.
Well, I mean, and you make a great point too. It's nice to be able to give stuff away from free. It's a nice way to be able to get your voice out there, your name out there. But you don't really have a solid business unless you're actually making money. Because
Yes.
without that, some kind of income coming in for what you're actually doing, you're only going to be able to do it for a short amount of time, but for free before you realize, hey, I actually have to pay for these services. I have to pay for these things that are coming in. Otherwise, I don't have a business. So
Right.
if you, let's see how I could word this right. If you actually charge something for somebody, you're actually giving them a service and they would actually thank you for it because they're like, oh, thank you for this great gift you've given me. Here's a cup. How do I pay you? And people are more apt to finish or do what you want them to do if they pay for it. If they do it for free, they're kind of like, whatever, I didn't pay for it, so it's no big deal. But if it's
Right.
something that's really powerful and they pay for it, they're going to see it through because they invested in themselves in this course or whatever it is that you might be putting together.
Right. And the key word is investment. So it's an investment for you to do it and what you're trying to do. And it's an investment for them in themselves. I didn't realize that till I started. I was like, oh, I got to spend money. Which entrepreneur, at least you're struggling financially. So you're like, oh no, I got to pay this. And it's like, yes, you do. But I've been blessed that I'm able to speak to people and I can say, okay, look, this is what I got. And it's really amazing in terms of authenticity. If you're like, this is what I have, some people, and they're well within their rights if they don't want to, will be like, no, I can't work with you. Cool. There are people who do. And those are the people that you seek out. And it's not necessarily, oh no, I'm not going to do that because they're scrape the bottom of the barrel. It's kind of one of those things you gotta invest and see. But there are people out there who can work with you in your budget. So you got to learn the budget. You got to learn, okay, how much are you really willing to put into social media? How much are you really willing to put into whatever you're wanting to do to make it work? But it's an investment on both sides. So it's an investment of the customer or the client. It's the investment of them and us in them. And it's just important to see that right off. Again, all this stuff I'm learning now, it's really important that it is, they're investing the time to come into your group and see what you're talking about. Then you're investing time and money and energy to grow the group. Like for me, it's my thing is creating a safe environment for the group. And when people see that, people like to feel emotionally safe. That opens people up, that helps people look at you as a safe person. And I think that's whatever you're into as an entrepreneur, whether it's mental health, wellness, money, business, because the people are trusting you with something that's very critical and very close to them. And they don't want to trust somebody they feel like is just out for money or somebody who's just trying to get cred, or okay, I got all these clients. So they're looking for somebody that they can feel safe telling you, I don't know how this entrepreneurship thing works, or my money just, I'm really struggling financially. So I mean, that's what I realized is so big. That money investment really helped me see in entrepreneurship for much deeper than I thought it was initially when I got in.
Exactly, exactly. And actually that goes right into my next kind of really quick question here is since you have your own type of marketing that's different because you were talking about this a little bit earlier that was different than the person you're doing. What do you do for marketing that's different than the other person that was just kind of retweet groups or whatever the heck it is that's like that?
Well, I mean, my so I had hired a team, and what I mean, they just know how to. Here's what's funny: they know how to talk to people, and I kind of follow their lead. I think it's important for people to see your face and to. I mean, I guess this isn't necessarily like key advice, but it's sort of like let them gravitate to you. And so for me, what I think I do differently is just again in the it's mental health and wellness sphere. I think you could come across as very like, oh, you can come across a certain way. And I try to be more authentic with my struggles. And I've found that especially in the wellness sphere, when people are like, oh, you're overcoming it too. At first I was like, oh, that's not going to go over well. But I realized that when people see that you're overcoming it too, oh, okay, I identify with that. And I think when you get people to identify with, oh, you're having the struggle too, then you can begin to put in that message, yeah, but this is how I'm coming out. And that's kind of the hardest part, to kind of get them to, oh, okay, you're coming out of it. How are you doing it? That takes a little longer. And so that's what I think is key for me. I try not to make it seem like I'm better than I was, not as good as I will be. You know what I'm saying? And
Oh yeah.
I relish that. I really, that's kind of the focal point of my lives that I do. So good social media posts that gets good engagement, and then your lives following that same theme.
Good. That's some actually good stuff. Yeah, don't be afraid. And this is something that I go into every once in a while too. Don't be afraid to be vulnerable to your audience and let them know who you are. Really, that it all kind of circles it back into the same thing because you want to have that same emotional contact with your tribe or whatever you want to call it. That's happy because one of my mentors, Pat Flynn, and he always says that your vibe attracts your tribe.
That's right. That's right.
So whatever you're putting out there, that's yourself. That's your authentic self. That's the kind of people that that's gonna, like you said, gravitate towards you. So you make a good point. I know you were kind of like, oh, I don't know if that's no, it's a very good point that that you're making there. So yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. Because and that's my, like I said, put the money out there and then be willing to be authentic in yourself, how you post the video, and your ask, right? So if you're like, okay, this is the call to action, be authentic in that too. Now I'm saying this is difficult. Like I'm like, help a sister out. Help me out. I'm trying to do this, I'm trying to do that. And people do respond. I mean, sometimes they buy it, sometimes they don't, but I think they understand it's a business. People are a lot more savvy to that, and they understand that getting into business is complicated and difficult. And I think if you kind of keep saying, okay, help me out, that vulnerability, people eventually will latch on to it.
Well, as long as you're attracting the people that are willing to do that,
Sure. Yes,
and as
that's,
long as
yeah,
you're being
that's,
authentic about it, that's really what it boils down
yeah,
to.
that's
Because
key.
you
True.
really don't want to chase the money. People smell that. People know when you're just asking
Oh,
for
yeah.
money and going from offer to offer to offer and not offering any kind of help or anything along those lines. People will
Yeah.
see that. When people are seeing that you're actually providing a service for them, that you're helping them out, or you're attempting to kind of change their mindset so they do something positive for themselves, people will respond to that.
Yep. And they do. That's the thing I had to realize too. Is like they do. Like people are in these places. that they don't even know they're in until they hear you say something or something about your post resonates with them. And it's like, oh, they're listening. And it's about, I like the way you said it. It's not about, okay, great. Now I got your attention. I have this summit you can go to. No, like that's when you dig in with the messaging. That's when you dig in with the engagement as well. Like you said, because some people, they identify with the message and that's all you're going to get. And that's okay. It's like, okay, this is a place where I can come here and comment and post. And that's all I need. They're just different levels of people that will be in your group. Like, well, for me, I have a group. So there are different people who will follow you and you got to figure out, okay, I guess call them maybe audience segments or something in other places. Who do you need to, who needs this specific messaging? Who needs that specific messaging? Who needs this? And who's just going to be here for the support?
Exactly. It's kind of a crude way to say it, but I put them in buckets.
Okay.
That's yeah. It's the way I segment my audience. I put them in buckets. These are the
Yeah.
this is the buckets of new entrepreneurs. I want to help get them started. These are the entrepreneurs that are going, but they need a little bit of help or guidance. And these are the people that want to start a podcast, so I can help those people in a different type of way. That way, you're not cross pollinating anything. Because if you
Right.
got the person that's starting a new business but they don't want to start a podcast, then you start sending them stuff about starting a podcast. And they're like, I don't want this stuff. I didn't ask for this. And then it kind of
Right.
turns them off a little bit. So,
Yep. Yep. Yeah,
all right,
you can
awesome.
lose those people, unfortunately.
Yeah, really fast, really
Yeah.
fast. All right. So tell me a little bit about what made you want to start the business. I mean, what's the story behind why you wanted to start this safe place for women?
Well, I came to a point in my life where I was like, I am like the card carrying ultimate people pleaser. And just this is a person who's into mental health. And I just sat down, I was like, what is that about? And how superficially it's just about pleasing people, but it's actually more rooted in perfectionism and acceptance, self acceptance, feeling like you're enough, all those things like that. And I got to a place where I started feeling like, yeah, I don't want to do that anymore. Like, there's got to be a better way. And I've been exploring that better way ever since like the end of 2022 is when it started for me. And it kind of hit me because my business initially was like that generalized coaching. Then I wanted to do marriage and family because that's my specialization in school. So I wanted to do all this stuff. I mean, I loved it. I was like, la, 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 talking about theories and stuff. And it was like, oh, okay. I don't know who likes this. Okay. So like if I do webinars, I'd be talking to myself. It was great, which I know you can start off with that. But I was like, okay, maybe that's not going to work. So when I had that people pleaser just moment of crisis in my life, I was like, I can't be the only one. And so I would see posts that would allude to that. And I was like, no, I want to actually give it a name and a face. And then I want to see who feels like I do. And so I took the group from the kind of marriage and relationship thingy and I slid it over to here. And once my social media team got posting, I was like, wow, we got a lot of people. There are a lot of people who identify with this. Oh, there are a lot of women who want to change this. Okay. And so especially to me, just again, dealing in mental health and working with women, I saw this perfectionism thing all the time. And then I saw the people pleaser thing. So, like, I would say, I did my practicum and I would say, well, let's let's try this for goal setting if you wanted to have this as a goal. And you look at the person, they're like, oh, okay, like I don't really care what you're talking about, I just don't want to disappoint you. And I was sitting there like, well, it's actually more about what you are wanting to do. If this isn't what you want to do, you can tell me no. And I was thinking, or can she? Maybe she feels like she can't. So I was like, what can I do as a woman to help other women feel safe saying no? That you're not going to be ridiculed or well, you may be ridiculed, you may be judged, but that's secondary to no, I don't want to do it. And that's what made me really pivot because it's to me, it's a cause of so many. And I say women, I think men do it too. To me, especially with anxiety and depressive disorders, I've just seen this clamping down of yourself, this not really saying what you really want to do has it's so to me that's a whole part of at least depressive and anxiety disorders, in my opinion, that you don't feel like you can speak your truth. And so you don't, and you end up living this life that's just so inauthentic. I hope that answered your question. I feel like I went on a tangent.
No, no,
I could
it's
talk.
good. It's good because you're right. A lot of people, men and women, most, I mean, I know the percentages is mostly women, but men too, where we don't feel like we can express yes or no because we're afraid of repercussions of why, if we do express this yes or no, what's going to happen. And then of course, if you're like me, the first thing you go to is the worst thing possible that could happen, and you don't
Mm-hmm.
want it to happen, so you just agree or you go with whatever the flow tells you to go to because you don't want that unknown to actually happen.
Right. Right.
So, I mean, I've actually recently learned a lot about this too, a lot about boundaries and a lot about how to say no. And one of the things I learned about no is when you do say no to something, what are you actually saying yes to? When you have
Right.
that extra minute or two that you say, no, I don't want to do this for you because I'm doing this. Well, I'm saying yes to this because this is something I want to do. And that's why I'm saying no to you. You are capable
Right.
of doing that. You just have to, just got to be able to mentally put it out there. Make
Yeah.
sure it's okay to say no. And if
It
you
is.
have to say no politely or say no to the thing. Don't say no to them.
Mm-hmm.
Say, I like what you're doing here, but I don't want to, I just, this thing that you want me to do, I'm not going to go with that. I'm good with you, but I'm not good with the idea. That way you're not so much as saying no to them personally where they take maybe offense to themselves or they're saying, I hate you or anything like that. No, it's not like
Mm-hmm.
that. It's the idea that I'm saying no to. And
Yeah.
that's kind of the way I frame it when I do want to say no to something.
That's a great way. That's a great way. Yeah, because we're not making judgment calls on ourselves or others when we say no. I'm saying no, I'm not saying no to you because you're a bad person. I'm saying no to you because I literally don't have the time.
Yeah.
I don't have the energy. I just don't want to. And that's part of my whole thing too, is take that valuation out of it in terms of good human versus bad human. Because you say no. And undoing those myths that we were told in childhood about good people do this, bad people do that, good people say yeah, or you don't want to hurt anyone's feelings, do you? You want to be a good person, and you're not a bad person by saying no. You are going to hurt some feelings, and people are going to have their response. But my thing is then you have your response. I would hope it wouldn't be attacking them back. I hope that another part of boundaries is saying, okay, I'm stepping away. We're not going to talk about this, or whatever you decide to do. Because I mean, I'm not one of those people who get loud and whatever, whatever. So I felt like, oh, I can't really set boundaries if I don't get loud or what. It's like, no, you can set boundaries and then that's it. You can walk away. You can table a conversation to another time. It's different ways of how you want to handle the boundaries, but it's not saying anybody's good or bad. It's just saying I'm not doing that right now.
Right, exactly, exactly. And I like the fact that you looked into I can't be the only one. I always love hearing that because you're having the idea of I'm having this feeling, I'm having this emotion, I'm having this issue, this problem. If I'm having this problem and issue, I can't be the only one in the 7 billion person planet
Right.
that's having this same issue.
Right.
And
Right.
then we look for
Right.
those people that are having the same issue. I mean, ultimately at the very end, you're your own avatar, which
Yes,
is pretty awesome.
that part.
Because you can
Yes.
really get into the emotional state of your avatar of the person that you want to serve. So that's
Yeah.
really great. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I love the way you said that. I, for a long time, avoided my own avatar, right? So I didn't want to, I don't know why now I think about it, but I didn't want to be my own avatar. I just felt like I get too stuck in the weeds with it, but it helped me explore me more. I'm like, okay, if I said like the customer journey, now I'm like, I can take people through this journey. Like, okay, what did I need at this point? Okay, what did I need at this point? Again, not I guess you're moving down the line, but it's saying what level of support did I need? What could somebody have said to me at this point? before I got to the point where I was like, I don't want to people please anymore. What could somebody have said to me in my 30s that would have made me like, okay, wow, maybe this is not good, and be that person.
Yeah, absolutely. Be the person that you wish you had when you were when you were in that time, when you were that age, whenever you're
Yeah.
in that situation. Because there's other people, just like you were saying, there's other people that's in that situation that you want to be able to help. And that's what we do
Yeah.
as entrepreneurs, is help people
It's
get
just
through those problems, get through those situations and those kind of things. So you're doing a fantastic thing.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, what I'd like to know is when you were first getting started, what were some of the pitfalls or problems that you had when you were actually just getting started? I mean, can you give me like a couple examples of that, or even just one? I
Yeah.
don't
I'll try to keep it brief. I feel like I'm talking a lot. Anyway, yeah, one of them was the avatar. I didn't get that concept. I didn't get the concept until, like you said, I looked like I'm the avatar. So that, because I guess I didn't understand. Well, one, I didn't know. So that avatar leads into, who are you really looking for? Who are your people? And I would advise any entrepreneur to, like, you are your people. Like, you really are your people. So like, you got to do whatever the work is keeping you from not accepting you are your people. I had to do some work, some inside, some self work, because I had to be vulnerable. You're just not going to get your messaging through if you aren't in it, if you aren't talking to yourself. That's what I'm trying to say. Number two is the marketing. I laugh now, but man, it was such a struggle. And that's my thing. This is a great time because you can hire people that's what they do. You're going to have to shop around based on your budget, but I'm telling you, I'd heard this a couple years ago, but I had it in my mind. I can't afford it. I can't do it. But do these things so that you could do the thing you're good at. That's what you want to focus on. You don't want to be doing web design, social media, editing the YouTube videos, and you're trying to help people get out of people pleasing and perfectionism. Something's going to get lost in the sauce. And that may mean you can't do YouTube now. That may mean you can only grow the social media. Get your marketing together. And I say this because not only is it strategic, it helps you. The thing it did for me is it took me, I say it like this, it took me from looking here to like a drone. You're being raised up above the forest. You know what I'm saying? Because you're sitting here in the forest, you're like, I don't know what to do. I see these people, they like me, but what to do? Now you're seeing the mountains in the distance and the cities, and you're like, okay, how do I get to the mountain? How do I get to the city? Now you can really come up with something strategic, and then like your vision grows. So my thing also is, think think big. Find ways to think big. And that's how you do it. When people start, especially when the group started growing, I was thinking, okay, maybe I can do a webinar. And I got with the my people, and they're like, yeah, this and this and this and this. We're not guaranteeing $10,000 in sales, but what we're doing is we're planting the seed, and we can tweak it as we go. So those were the main ones. Just create your avatar. You are the avatar. Be vulnerable enough to do that. Get get a marketing strategy with people, hire that out as much as you can, and then think big when things start growing, like, realize it's growing. If the group is growing, if people are responding, that's a beautiful thing, and let it raise your profile.
know. All right. That's some fantastic advice. I love it. I love it. That's fantastic. Yeah, getting a team together, that's great because you want to be able to be in your zone of genius as much as humanly possible. When you're going out doing things that's not in your zone of genius, if it's in your zone of excellence, you're not going to be able to perform at 100% because you're worried about so many of these other things. So if you
Yeah.
could either hire out or automate anything that's not in
Oh,
your zone of genius, do
please,
it. Yes,
please.
please. Because then
Yes,
you could
don't.
sit in your zone of genius and do exactly what you want to do. It makes you happier. It makes you more efficient in what you're doing, and makes the other people that you hire happy too because they're working in their zone of genius. Now, I could tell you my
Right.
zone of genius is definitely not social media, okay? But if I
Right.
hired somebody who's really good at social media, that loves social media, they're going to work at their peak performance because that's what they love to do.
Yes.
So
Right. And it doesn't take away. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to
go ahead.
interrupt.
No, go ahead.
I think for me, it was like it would take away from me. Like I won't be the like it's called like the prince, like Prince in the Revolution. He played the drums, sing, play guitar. He just a one man band, all this stuff. And I was like, that's great. Everybody wants to have that story. Well, yeah, I did this and this and this. You don't have to be. It doesn't take away from your genius to not do all those things because you don't have to. I like the way you said that you're operating in your genius, they're operating in theirs, and the world is good. And to me, that's what you want. You want to be able, you just don't want the stress of playing the guitar and the drums and doing the backup. You just, I mean, I'm sure he's great, awesome. Love me some Prince, but nah. I'm sure if he had a way of automating it or having people at the time, he would have done it too.
If loopers were a thing back then, I bet then,
Yes,
yeah.
yeah,
So.
right.
All right. So that's great. I love that. I love that. Okay. What I'd like to know is, as you're going along in your entrepreneur adventure, do you have any like influences or like mentors or anything that kind of stick out in your mind that kind of helped you out moving forward?
I can't think of one specific person, but I love YouTube. Like I watch it as my TV. So I YouTube creators are my inspiration because when something happens, they most of them can. They'll switch up. Like some of them they end up getting, in fact, one of them, he was saying today he got demonetized and he was like, could y'all help me with Patreon? And I just like the way nobody wants to have to be forced to change, but they understand the market. They understand everything about YouTube enough to get on it and change over. A lot of used to just show stock footage and stuff. Now they put their face up there because they know that's what the moment calls for. And I get a lot of influence from that. I get a lot of it because I mean, eventually I would like to get on YouTube, but I like when the creators know change is coming and they're like, look, we get in front of it. And it's just keeping things fresh and new and just I don't know, there's just something about it just seems so, I mean, as much as it can be was like same thing with social media. But it's just I guess I love the idea of just 1 minute you're a common folk person. The next minute you can have like 1 million followers. And how you grow to 1 million followers. Like, so I'm watching your video back when you had 3 followers, and it's like, okay. And then all of a sudden, your technology got better. All of a sudden, your writing got better. Your voice changed. There's something about that, like the reinvention, because that keeps me thinking about, okay, how can I, as things change, as things evolve, how can I stay fresh and new? Again, COVID was such a thing, not only health wise, but because again, I was in mental health. And when I say it shut down, like I was doing home visits and we couldn't nothing, and everybody suffered. And so the thought of pivoting and changing really, to me, I love the idea of that. I really do love that because a lot of, as you well know, companies shut down, people lost jobs and could not make that switch. So and I think that's why the YouTube community, I'm big on that. I am like, they're like, they're gonna demonetize my channel. I was like, here's my $3. Because I want to keep you going. I love what you're giving. You're giving me everything. So they are my biggest influence.
Do you have a specific one that you watch more than anybody else that you
So
could
it's
think
funny.
of?
The ones that so I'm a true crime buff.
Oh, good. Okay.
Uh
Yes. Yes. Yes.
and the one that got me, because I mean the ones that get canceled, they got me. So I like true crime and dogs.
Okay.
Uh, but I think the dogs are all right. His name is Disturbing. He's out of England. And always liked his stuff, but recently he was just like, they demonetized me and not too sure why. And all this stuff, and just how he handled it. Just how first of all, he was one of those didn't show his face.
Mhm.
He was like, okay, face reveal, and I don't know what's happening with the channel. And I said, that's slick. That is slick. Because it's sort of he would tease what he would look like. He'd have like a balaclava on, and he kept teasing what he looked like. And I was like, that is slick. And it's funny as a woman, and a guy shows himself, it's like shows his face, it's like, okay. I don't know if he saw that angle or not, but a lot of them do. And I was like, I'm gonna support you just for how you did this. I mean, I was gonna support you, but I was like, just how you revealed your face. You were like, he shouted out other YouTubers. So he's sort of like, it's a community of us. You're vulnerable. You didn't have to come out here and say all of this. And then you asked for help. And that says something to me. You could have just shut the channel down. Some people just go dark and we're like, okay, what happened to you? But you asked for help. And I was like, that gets my vote. So long story short, he ended up, YouTube was like, joke, your channel's back up. Right. He was like, I don't even know what happened. But and I just love the way he was like, but lesson learned, I need to have other ways of doing this. And I just really love the way he could have ran and raved. He could have done so many things, but he was just like, this shows me now I'm going to I'm going to diversify. And then he said, I want you to tell me other YouTubers who are going through this as well, because I want to help them out. I was like, you know what? Here's my $3.
There you go.
Yeah, just because it's like it just as an entrepreneur, I just felt like, yeah, we are in this together. Almost like I felt obligated to support him, because I'm like, that could be me for whatever reason.
Yeah,
Those are my influences.
exactly. Exactly. The adaptability that a lot of people have, not just I mean, you see it really prevalent, especially recently in the YouTube realm, I guess you can say, because there's been a lot of changes, a lot of algorithm
Mm-hmm.
changes and things of that nature. But you could see these people in real time adapt
Mm-hmm.
to what's happening in the new algorithms or the changes that's happening or anything like that. And that's really having that adaptability is big for me too,
Oh
being
yeah,
able to,
definitely.
since I'm new, I have to be able to adapt because there's going to be new things that are coming out that I'm just learning yet and that kind of
Mm-hmm.
thing. So, I mean, whenever I think of adaptability, I think Bruce Lee of all people, he says something along the lines of be water, be like water, because water has infinite adaptability. If you pour water into a teacup, it becomes a teacup, right?
Right.
If you pour water in a bowl, it becomes a bowl. Be adaptable like water. So whenever I hear something like
Yes.
that, that's kind of what goes through my head at that particular time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, you got, I mean, it's funny how you watch people develop, and I didn't think about it like this either. Like they're developing their business, right? So this is their money maker. They're developing their business, and how so some of them I've seen just go through mental health things. They come out and they say, this is just, especially in the true crime, and I can get that. And some of them are like, I'm out. Others are like, I'm gonna just start telling stories and just completely pivot off of that, tell stories, and just rebuild a whole new audience. And I'm just like, that's how entrepreneurs in the virtual social media, that's how we have to be. We have to, okay, this isn't working, or it just may not be something you're interested in. Okay, so what can I do if this is the trend and I'm really not interested in it, what can I do, and to become more adaptable?
There you go. That's
It's
awesome.
crucial. It's critical to success.
Yeah, absolutely. What I like to know, this is one of my favorite questions here, is we're gonna take that drone and we're gonna go way up in there. What I like to know is, when will you know you've made it? When do you think you've gotten to that point where you say to yourself, this is where I wanted to be. This is what I worked towards. What's that look like to you, Rhonda?
Oh man. When I gotta find a location. When I have like a summit, either in the Dominican Republic or the Bahamas, some island location, like 250 people, and a panel of speakers, about a 3 or 4 day summit. That's when I think I'll be able to take deep exhale.
There you go.
That's when I will know when I get those retreats popping. That's the 30,000 foot overview. That's a drone in the sky right there. I see it.
There you go.
Yeah, that's what it is right there. Yes, and if I do that like 2 or 3 times a year, oh yeah, y'all ain't gonna be able to tell me nothing. I'll be. That's when I'll know.
Right.
How
That's
about you?
awesome. Me? Oh boy. Okay. So mine's a little more simpler than that.
Okay.
So my first made up moment is when somebody comes up to me and says, "Hey, are you DJ Scoob?" And I mean, yeah. I says, well, you said this on this podcast, and it really changed my life. Thank you very much for saying that or having that particular guest. I was listening to you and Rhonda, and she said something about being adaptable. I'm just going off of the thing here, but just
Yeah.
having that one person that I made that much of a difference to is definitely a made up moment for me. I mean,
Yeah.
and then
That's
when it's a little further, I want to do a TED talk. When I have a TED talk, I'm gonna be good to go.
oh. Oh yeah. I remember. And you're gonna do it as DJ Scoop. That'd be awesome. DJ Scoop TED Talk.
You know
Yes.
how weird
That'd
it'd
be
be to
awesome.
go up onto the stage and hear
Yes.
because that's exactly what I'm going to do, just to throw everybody off.
Right.
So all right, that's awesome. All right. This is my favorite question, but I did steal this question from another podcast, so I'm sorry, everybody. But what is the one question you wish I would have asked but didn't? I always miss one really good question that my guest is ready to answer, and I never ask that question. What is that question to you, Rhonda?
I guess simple tips to kind of change the tide against people pleasing and perfectionism.
Oh yeah, give me a couple of those. That sounds good. Yeah, give me a couple tips to kind of get myself away from being the yes guy.
Okay. Well, one of them is journaling and reflection that gets you to thinking why you say yes. What is the benefit of saying yes to things that you know you don't want to do? What's behind that? What's the thought processing behind that? And then recognizing it. Awareness is key. And I'm not saying change it right there. It's just there's a way that we think every time something happens. If we can catch the beginning of that cycle, we can begin to change it. So you journal on it. Maybe it's you don't think people will like you. Maybe you think people think you're a bad person. Then we bring that to life, if you will. We'll say, okay, this is when this happens, this is what I think of myself. Okay. Then we go to a circumstance during the week, start small. Where can I say no? Right. So we acknowledge how we thinking, where can we say no, and understand that saying no is going to be uncomfortable, it's going to cause you to feel anxious, it may make the other person mad. So that's why we start small. No-ish, maybe. I can't do it right now. Can I maybe in an hour? Okay. Once we get those small wins every week, every couple times a week, we're saying no. Then we get to the big ones, right? So we get to the person who likes to call us up, tell us all about their lives, how much it sucks, pretend they want advice, but they really just want to just talk your ear off. Okay. So then we now have the power to choose. Do I want to move that conversation to a different time, or do I just not want to have it at all? So again, like I said, we can cut the conversation shorter. If we know how they are, we can say, well, you know what, you're not going to listen to me anyway. That's a little bit of a step up. But again, we're trying to shorten that we can't cut it off automatically. We're trying to shorten the time so we can get to where we cut it off. Or unless we just want to just go for the goal, yeah, and cut it off. And then celebrate. Celebrate, okay, ooh, I cut that conversation down 5 minutes. I might have told him I had to go cook dinner. I really didn't, but eventually we'll get to where you can authentically say that I'm going to cut this down to 5 minutes because I don't want to lose this relationship. And also, like I said, the power to choose. Maybe you just don't feel like all the crap they'll put you through. That's fine too. Okay. I'm not saying that every relationship like that has to be cut off. My thing is you've got to determine and prioritize your time as well. So that's where I am. It's like know what you're thinking when you have these thoughts, acknowledge it, become aware of it, and then move through, okay, where can I say no? Smaller ways to say no, and then look hard at something big that you can create a boundary around. Um, and choose the time you're going to do it, choose how you're going to do it, and then celebrate that moment once you've done it. Celebrate it, even if it feels small and "Oh, I didn't really do this." Even if you cut the conversation short by 2 minutes, celebrate that because that's a start. And that's how you start catching that momentum of
And
getting out of people
it
pleasing.
doesn't even have to be pop the wine bottle, and it could be just a simple yeah, or just a quick
It's an
fist pump or something
yeah.
like that. Just that little celebration.
I'm telling you, once you start acknowledging wins in your life, your perspective, it's a slow burn, but your perspective begins to change. Now you start to seek the wins out. It's almost like a game. You're like, oh, I could do this. I could say that. Yeah. And you gain that momentum. And like you said, it doesn't have to be champagne bottles. It could be just a moment of, I said I was going to do this and I did it.
There you go. That's
Yes.
awesome. Some great advice from Rhonda. Make sure you listen to that a couple of times, school believers, so you can get over that hump that we're talking about. So that's awesome,
Yes.
Rhonda. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So I like to ask this question of all my guests. I would like to know in the next 6 months, where do you see you and your company?
Oh man, I see I see myself. So I'm working on a webinar. I see the webinar doing its third iteration and hitting those numbers I wanted to hit with in terms of exposure and people watching it, getting things from it, and getting coaching clients from that. I'm also working on a coloring book. Let's see,
Ooh,
6 months. Okay, so yeah, that's what I'm saying about that view, man. Like
yeah.
all of a sudden, I want coloring books and concerts and everything, and so I want to have a coloring book, a relaxation coloring book, because you see, I'm a little art. I love drawing and all this stuff like that, and I want to get people into just more tangible ways to relax. So that's what I see myself doing: the webinar, coaching, and then the coloring book. That's the plan for 2024.
Awesome. When you come out with that coloring book, let me know, and I'll put something in the show notes for people to check that out.
Awesome,
That
yeah,
way, people can. Oh yeah, I'm in. I know a lot of people that are into those relaxing coloring books and that
love
kind
them.
of thing. So,
Yes, they're so awesome, yes.
all right.
Adult coloring, woo, yeah.
All right. So, what I'd like to do with you in 6 months, I'd like to kind of follow up with you and see if we've achieved those goals, if that's okay.
Yeah, sure, that'd be
Awesome.
great.
So, we're going to want to see a coloring book.
Yes.
We're going to see another webinar that's you're working on there,
Mhm.
and we're going to see more clients. Is that what we're trying to get to there?
That's
How
what
many
we're
how
trying to
many
get to, yes.
how many more clients do you think you'll have in 6 months? Just give me a number.
Hopefully 20 more.
Wow, 20.
Yeah,
Okay.
I got a whole space to fill, yes. Going for it all.
All right, that's what I do it.
Go big or go home.
All right. Yeah, that's what I say. I love
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Okay. All right. So this is your time to shine, Rhonda. This is the time where I want you to kind of tell us how do we get a hold of you, and this is the time for you to kind of advertise yourself. Okay. Ready, set,
Awesome.
and go.
Yes, you can find me on Limitless Empowerment with Rhonda J, my group on Facebook. But I would invite you to go to my website first, www.limitlessrhondaj.net, and take my people pleaser and perfectionist quiz. This lets you know where you fall on the spectrum. It's not anything of judgment. It's just, again, I think awareness is key. And go on there, take the quiz. It's kind of, you got to scroll down a little bit. It's a little link there. Again, it is www.limitlessrhondaj.net. Take the quiz, join my group. I'd love to connect with you. And let's talk. Let's get a conversation started. See how I can help you overcome people pleasing and perfectionism. I am limitless_empowered on Instagram. I am Rhonda Johnson on LinkedIn. But my main places is Facebook and Instagram because the group, like I said, resides in Facebook. So I got to learn to promote myself better. I'll get it. I feel like I stumble around.
We'll add that to the list here on the 6 month goal to get you.
Yeah, yeah. Put that on. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. We'll get it. Fellow new entrepreneurs, please get that part right. I stumble a little bit. It's a work in progress.
We'll work on your elevator pitch. Okay, Rhonda.
Yeah, well,
There you go.
yes,
All
I'm
right.
working.
Thank you so much for coming on the Undiscovered Entrepreneur. Any of those links or anything like that, we will have in the show notes for you. It's easy for you to find. All right, Scoop Believers, make sure you stay tuned for the wrap up. Okay, everybody, have a good evening. Bye
Bye.
bye. All right, School Believers, that was Rhonda. Man, that was a fantastic conversation. I had a blast being able to talk to Rhonda about her entrepreneur venture and the kind of things that she's doing. I love how she kind of made her own avatar be her. It's a lot of good ways to be able to do that because you know yourself pretty. I hope you know yourself pretty good. And if you know yourself pretty good and you are your own avatar, there's probably a good chance that you're going to know that other person maybe as well. Who knows? It's really hard to say. Never compare yourself to somebody else, compare yourself to yourself. That's always something that I do, especially doing what I do. I mean, I have people that I do look up to, but I don't want to copy them or I don't want to have their adventure because their adventure is their adventure and my adventure is my adventure. So you want to keep that in mind too. Be vulnerable. Don't be afraid to be vulnerable. Being vulnerable is not a weakness. A lot of people think vulnerability is a weakness. It's not. It actually can be a strength because people will relate to somebody that's a little more vulnerable than they are if they're really standoffish or if they have those walls up. So always bear that in mind too, and always be adaptable. Be adaptable to your situation. Be adaptable to what's happening around you. And like I said, like Bruce Lee said, be like water. Be able to change those things and not be rigid because you got it. Sometimes you do have to go with the flow and figure things out as you go along. Be adaptable for what's going on around you. So let's all keep that in mind. Okay, a little bit more about me. What's going on in my life right now? I am elbow deep in this group called the Great Discovery. And now, if you have courses that you want to share with the world, but you don't know where to put them, how to sell them, or you want to actually have a team behind you to be able to sell these things, I encourage you to go to tuepodcast.net/discovery for more information about how the Great Discovery can help you with your courses, with some great information and some fantastic AI tools I've never seen before. So please go to this website, tuepodcast.net/discovery for more information. Also, my vacation is coming up this next week. I'm really excited. What am I going to be doing during this vacation? Working on stuff for you. I can't wait to really just get in deep to start putting together some new projects that I'm making just for you. Also, I wanted to give you a nice little apology about last week. I had some issues with my server, so I kind of missed an episode. I'm really sorry about that, but we are making up for it with some of the new stuff that's coming out. So please make sure you tune in and subscribe and all that good stuff and follow what I'm doing. One more thing, if you really like what you're listening to and you want to hear more of it and you want to help other new entrepreneurs and you want to support what I'm doing, please support me by going to tuepodcast.net/Patreon, where I have behind the scenes footage, community, and possibility of me helping you one-on-one with your entrepreneur adventure. All right, I can't wait to help you in the next video where we're going to listen to a coaching. I'm really excited about it too. It's fantastic. All right, everybody. Thank you, School Believers. You all have a great evening. Bye-bye.